Hi, welcome to the SoFi Stadium. We are shooting the Sequire spotlights right here in this amazing venue. And with me, I have Marcus Charuvastra, president of Turn on Green. Now, there's an interesting story of where Turn on Green currently is, and that is because I believe recently there was a name change for BitNile's subsidiary company, Imperialis Holdings, which has now become Turn on Green.
Correct. That's correct.
What is the new ticker and what has brought on this change?
Well, so Imperialis Holdings Corporation is a publicly traded company under the ticker IMHC. And in September of 2022, Turn on Green, who was a subsidiary of BitNile, which is a public company trading under the ticker NILE, merged with Imperialis Holdings Corporation. So effectively, we through a reverse acquisition, we became a public company, and we're still finalizing some of the pieces in that process. But we expect to be in 2023, fully approved and tradable on the OTC markets.
And that's just a couple of weeks away.
Just a couple of weeks away.
Tell us more about the go forward strategy with this reverse acquisition.
Sure. Well, so the plan right now for Turn on Green and for Imperialis Holdings Corporation is to transition into a name change, first of all, so that Imperialis Holdings Corporation will eventually become Turn on Green. We will change the ticker symbol to TOGI, and we will eventually uplist to the NYSE later on in 2023, assuming everything goes according to our plans and our strategy. So right now, there have been some announcements by BitNile about some share distributions to the Nile shareholders, and so we will effectively gain a lot of new shareholders through our relationship with BitNile.
Wonderful. So, just to touch more on that share distribution, there's a split, from what I understand, there'll be shares and warrants.
That's correct. There will be shares and tradable warrants issued, which puts us in a unique position to raise capital in the first 2 quarters of 2023.
And that obviously will come once there's a deconsolidation. All right.
That's correct.
Correct. Great. All right. So, tell us more about the vast power products that you guys are involved for mission critical applications.
Sure. Yeah. Well, so Turn on Green is the main company. Our subsidiary Digital Power Corporation is our legacy or our foundational company, and that's been in business since 1969. And that really is our foundation of engineering and supply chain, and our understanding of power. And so what we do at Digital Power Corporation is we design, engineer, manufacture custom, flexible power solutions for a variety of industries, from the defense industry to the telecommunications industry. And we've been doing it for over 50 years. And so we have a big warehouse and manufacturing facility up in Milpitas, California. And then in 2017, what we did is Digital Power Corporation said, hey, let's pivot into e-mobility. And let's take our expertise in engineering and our understanding of power, and let's develop our own EV charging devices. And so what happened from there is we sort of started to learn a lot about this industry, which is the EV charging industry. I think you'll see EVSE a lot, which is electric vehicle supply hardware or equipment, and that's something that you'll see often referred to. And so that's our specialty now, is sort of e-mobility and e-mobility solutions.
Wonderful. Let's stick with that topic then. So, EV infrastructure can be really costly. Tell us more about your network and how you've kind of overcome those challenges.
Sure. Well, our growth strategy is to really have a diversified portfolio of products and services that we offer to both commercial customers and direct to consumer applications. So we have products that are available through e-commerce channels like Amazon, Walmart. And those are residential charging, non-networked, very straightforward level 2 charging products, either 32 amp, 48 amp. And we manufacture those ourselves. And that's a huge market that's coming, right? So what you see in the EV market now is you have about 2 million electric vehicles, 2.5 million electric vehicles in the United States currently. They're projecting that's going to be about 26 million by 2030, which is a huge increase, right? And so somebody's going to have to manage that growth, and someone's going to have to provide power to all those people that are purchasing new electric vehicles. Do you drive an electric vehicle?
Not yet, but I've got my eye on one.
Excellent. Is there any particular type?
I'm not going to give any punts right now.
Fair enough. So, everybody that goes into that market, they look at the car and it's a beautiful car, and they understand that we want to go electric, but they don't quite understand what's required on the charging side and the infrastructure that's required. And so, from the residential standpoint, yes, we're selling a charger, but there's also the additional cost of installation and potentially power upgrades on the residential side. So that's something that we specialize in as well, and designing products that are flexible that can work with existing infrastructure that prevent people from having to spend a lot of money on costly upgrades for their home. On the other side of the coin is the commercial infrastructure cost, which is very expensive, and that's where the federal government really steps in and has provided a lot of subsidies and funding for the industry. But it's not just the federal government; it's the state government, it's municipalities, and it's utilities. The utilities are huge funders of these programs as well. And so, with all those things working in concert, it allows us as a company the ability to go out and build infrastructure, and own networks, and really provide charging as a service, and be a charge point operator ourselves.
Great stuff. I know that coastal regions have dominated, right, recently with EVs and the infrastructure. What are your strategies to get into further locations for a more sustainable and obviously profitable utilization of that?
Yeah, well, so definitely the West and East Coast, are the leaders in EV charging and EV charging infrastructure currently. The Biden administration is really making a point of getting funds to all of the states so that they can implement electric vehicle infrastructure, charging infrastructure. Our plan right now is we are focusing on California, Oregon, Washington, and a couple states on the East Coast. We're really focused on certain segments of charging. So early on in the charging game, and you got to keep in mind that this is like we just finished the first inning of the EV charging game. We're in the second inning now. It's very early on. There's a handful of companies. The market is really dominated by three big companies: ChargePoint, Blink, and I would even argue Wallbox. And then you have sort of other DC fast charging companies like Electrify America, EVgo. But for us, our strategy is to establish relationships with our partners where we can build infrastructure, own infrastructure, and really get utilization from that infrastructure. Because from the first inning setup, what you see is a lot of chargers that are not being used, and that was built with a lot of funds early on, and they just don't get used because they weren't put in places where people will use them. And so one of the things that one of the relationships we just completed is a partnership with Best Western Hotels and Resorts, where we're one of two approved suppliers of EVSE for their over 2,500 locations across North America.
Great. And I think you obviously touched on the fact that it's competitive. There are some dominators in the space. What sets you apart?
Um, you know, ChargePoint is the big player in the room, and they're by far ahead of everybody else in terms of volume of chargers and revenue. But keep in mind that we're still very early. The market is still maturing, and they have a small segment of an enormous market. And so as we enter into this market, we're looking at expanding our commercial charging services and building our network operating systems across hotels, across the country, working with multifamily unit building owners, and really building the footprint of commercial public charging, in addition to a residential direct to consumer strategy, which can help put chargers in many of the single family homes across the country. There are 85 million single family homes in the United States, and a good proportion of them are going to require an EV charging unit sometime in the next 5 years.
Wonderful. So in the next, say, 2023, for that year alone, what are you hoping to accomplish? And by the time we get to this point next year, what are you hoping to say has been ticked off the list?
Well, so right now, infrastructure takes a while to build, and so we have a handful of key projects that we're focused on. We are very focused on building regionally, working regionally, and establishing our brand and our reputation. And one of the things that sets us apart is our flexibility, is our attention to detail, and our understanding of consumer behavior and driver behavior. So where you have companies like EVgo who are kind of slapping down DC fast chargers in the middle of places, and it's just like a box in the middle of the parking lot. We're focused on building more of an experience-based DC fast charging systems. We're looking at the electric truck industry right now. I mean, Tesla's 500-mile Class 8 vehicles coming out this month. And so, we're looking at fleet applications. We do quite a bit with the car rental market and the car rental fleets. That's a huge market. They're going to be kind of the canary in the coal mine for EV in a sense, because people are going to get their first taste of an electric vehicle when they rent one, and then they're going to be like, oh, this is so easy to drive. Let me go buy one. And so, our relationships with the American Car Rental Association, have helped us form business relationships with a variety of different car rental companies as well. And so, having a diversified strategy of fleet, commercial, residential, that's kind of how we're going to spin out in 2023 and just expand our public charging footprint.
Sounds exciting. So, with all these developments underway, what should investors keep top of mind?
Well, I think it's important for investors to understand that with a company, with an infrastructure building company, typically it's capital intensive, and the revenue recognition takes time, and it takes sometimes months to years to really see the profitability of these sites. The key for our business is establishing relationships. And maintaining those relationships with consistent behavior and customer service. And so when the opportunity to expand the charging network comes, which in our industry we call future proofing, and that's a big term for commercial sites, is that right now people are saying, hey, let's build 2 or 4 chargers, but they're going to need 10. And they're going to need 12. And in that time, maybe 2-3 years from now, we are going to be the provider who builds or extends those networks and is able to extend the footprint.
Excellent. Well, I've had a great conversation with you. And anything else you want to leave our viewers with as we close off?
Well, if you want to learn more about Turn On Green and Imperalis Holdings, please visit www.turnongreen.com. You can also look us up under the ticker IMHC. And if you have any questions or interest in purchasing an electric vehicle charger, just send us a note through the website.
Who are you rooting for?
For the World Cup?
For the NFL. Look where we are.
I'm a 49er fan. So this is actually the 49ers house, considering that the Rams haven't beat them here. But yeah, we're intent. I'm a soccer guy, so we're looking at Portugal. I think is going to win today, so I'm excited about that.
Fantastic.
Spain lost. It's kind of a sad thing.
Yeah.
But I'm also UCLA Bruin. So our women won the national championship yesterday. Probably one of the best football matches I've seen ever, as they tied the game with 10 seconds left. So it's pretty incredible.
Awesome. Well, great having this conversation with you, Marcus. You're watching the Sequire Spotlight. Stay tuned for more.